Vince Muscat pleaded guilty to the murder of Daphne Caruana Galizia and was sentenced to 15 years in prison and forced to pay 43,000 euros in costs to the court. Muscat admitted to all 6 heads of indictment. These were the willful homicide of Daphne Caruana Galizia, causing an explosion which led to the death of a person, illegal possession of explosives, conspiracy to carry out a crime, promotion of a group intending to carry out criminal acts, and participation in such a group. Finding him guilty under every head of indictment, the judgment mentions that Muscat and 2 others had associated themselves with third parties to carry out the crimes. Indeed, that same afternoon, police were able to arrest brothers Adrian and Robert Ajus, the Maxar brothers, together with their associate Jamie Vella, on suspicions that they had supplied the bomb that killed Daphne Caruana Galizia. After admitting to the charges, Vince Muscat shed even more light on how the 3 men tracked Caruana Galizia's movements before killing her. Muscat had identified a vantage point in Bidnija, which allowed them to see Caruana Galizia up close from almost 10 meters away. The initial plan was to have Alfred Degiorgio kill the journalist with a sniper rifle equipped with a telescopic sight. This plot, however, was called off by George Degiorgio, who thought it was too noisy. A bomb, he suggested, was easier to install and ultimately cleaner. With an auto-focusing telescope, the hitmen would see Caruana Galizia typing on her laptop on her sofa till 2 a.m. They saw her on her iPad at an Ashar cafe. They looked for her car while she and her husband Peter were at the Fenicia Hotel on Notte Bianca in the first week of October 2017. They tracked her movements everywhere, spent hours watching her from various vantage points at Bidnija and Mosta. Muscat said he'd smoked 3 packets of Rothman's Red a day, watching, sitting on 2 bricks till his behind got sore. Muscat said both the rifle and a foreign-made bomb, one of 3, were provided by the Ajus brothers and Jamie Vella. In their car, Muscat and Alfred Degiorgio kept a 9mm automatic handgun that took a 16-round magazine and an AK-47 machine gun just in case they encountered a roadblock. The bomb, as described by Muscat in court, was 6 inches thick, 5 inches wide and 3 inches long. He said it was a neat bomb with a stainless steel face. It had an apparatus in which the SIM card would be inserted. You send a particular message to the SIM card on the bomb, Muscat recounted, and it would explode seconds later. It had some 500 grams of explosive packed inside, and to make sure the murder went to plan, Alfred Degiorgio attached a petrol bottle to it in case it wasn't strong enough. The hitmen even obtained a car identical to Caruana Galizia's rental vehicle, and down at their Marsa den, they practiced how to open the car without a trace. After months of spying on Caruana Galizia's whereabouts, Muscat was summoned by the Degiorgio brothers to pick up the bomb from a garage in Santa Venera. It turns out that the car that Daphne had been driving was left outside the house for the night. The 3 men met up in Bidnija, and Alfred Degiorgio walked up to the car, the bomb carried in a rucksack, soon to be placed under the driver's seat and switched on. The next morning, they were in position at 6 a.m. George Degiorgio set out at sea to get as far from the location as possible. Later that afternoon, Daphne stepped outside her house, but quickly went back in. She re-emerged. All the while, Alfred Degiorgio was on the phone with his brother George. George Degiorgio detonated the bomb just before Daphne reached the part of the road where it dips. Vince Muscat and Alfred Degiorgio had already started walking back to their car when the bomb went off. The hitmen collected their cash from Melvin Thoma 2 days later at a rendezvous in Marsa Scala. To this day, the Degiorgio brothers still deny the charges in court. But in a clamorous statement given during an interview for a podcast on the murder, George Degiorgio admitted to carrying out the hit job.
For me, it just was business, yeah. Business as usual.
Now, the people behind the murder await their fate. It's been 5 years since their arrest, and the Degiorgio brothers will now stand trial. MaltaToday senior court reporter Matthew Ajus.
The hope is that this trial will see justice served, but it won't bring closure to the family or the nation on its own. So far, criminal proceedings have been brought against 3 other people, including Jürgen Fenech himself, but no date has yet been set for their trials.
In Bidnija, a white banner with Daphne's image on it marks the spot in the field where her burning car came to a halt. The banner is even visible on Google Maps, an everlasting reminder of how the life of a journalist was snuffed out and marking this country's conscience forever.